Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope that you're doing well on this, the eve of All Hallows Eve. Or you could maybe call it All Hallows Eve. It's one of my favorite times of the year. It's my children's favorite holiday, or second favorite. I think my oldest maybe likes Christmas a little more, but my second born, this is his holiday. So we've been kind of celebrating all week. We had half a pitcher of sangria yesterday. Today we didn't have it, but it's still in there, probably for tomorrow. It's half wine and half apple soda and chopped up apples, green apples, the real sour kind. And when we first tried it, it was horrible. My son had the idea to add the soda to it, and it made it a lot better. Now it's kind of like an appley Manischewitz, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Tonight I have a treat for you. Tonight's episode is my friend Cheryl and I earlier today did an interview. And I'm going to tell you guys right now that this interview, a couple things. First of all, it took us over 4 hours to get the technology correct in order to record for 56 minutes. It took us 4.5 hours to get that done. Tomorrow, pretty soon, in just a few hours, Mercury will be officially retrograde. She and I both are Virgos. We are both born on August 25th, so we are both extremely affected by Mercury retrograde. Everyone is affected by it with, technology. So there's a couple things going on when you have Mercury retrograde. You have technological issues that are through no fault of your own. Then you have technological issues because you just are not mentally clear and you can't remember what the hell to do or how to do it, or it's just completely like, what? Techno what? And then also you have communication, which is also a factor. And even though she and I were communicating clearly with each other for the most part, the communication during the use of the technology was particularly challenging. I want you to listen for it. There's a couple times where you just can't hear her. And when you do hear her, it's like a robotic voice or almost like a demonic or negative ghostly influence while she's talking about those things. And also, you might notice what sounds like an alien voice trying to talk through her in another language. That happened through part of this. It was so challenging. The whole interview, I had to create energetic bubbles around my phone, around her phone. I was aware of things, trying to get into the conversation to stop it from her end, and I had to push those things away from her and all along the line of communication. And it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. It was an amazing conversation, though. A lot of really good information got through. Spooky stories. So it's just perfect for this time of year. It's perfect for Halloween. It's a good night. You guys are going to like this one. If you are single, you're going to want to cuddle up with an extra blanket and maybe the lights on. And if you're having an animal around you, you might want to cuddle up with the animal, unless it's a fish, because they don't tend to like that. And if you do have a sweetheart by your side, this will be the time you're going to want to grab her or him or them, and you're going to want to cuddle because, Ooh, it's a spooky one. I was happy to hear Cheryl's stories because what she was trying to say in the beginning, she got through the words ufologist and ghost hunter, paranormal, investigator, supernatural investigator. The word that she kept trying to say over and over and over again, and every time, that's when you get the demonic energy and you don't hear it. She was a demonologist. Yeah, I mean, she did the toughest cases, the hardcore tough cases. Oh my God. And well, they're still kind of messing with her, and you're going to hear this is not for the lighthearted. Okay. If you get extremely easily scared, you're probably going to want to maybe not hear the second part of the show. If you love this kind of thing, this is going to be right up your alley. So, yeah, this was a good one, though. Whoo-wee, it was like one for the ages for sure. Absolutely incredible interview. Cheryl's stories never fail to absolutely amaze me. And some of her, it's not all scary. Some of it's rather endearing and actually very sweet. And you're going to probably cry in at least two places. I was trying to hold it together, but I was like shedding tears through part of it. And it was good. It was good. I'm really pleased with the interview and how it went. But I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of garbled parts. There's a lot of, it's not really dead air, but a lot of like, you just don't understand what's happening. There's a lot of parts that just, you can't understand it. It sounds like a robot. And it's not only the Mercury retrograde and the I don't even know what forces were over there trying to mess with it. Also, she has dragons that stay with her, energetic beings that are with her, and they wanted to hear the episode. They were excited and they were stepping on the transmission. Their energy was interfering. And I have dragons on my end too, and they were gathered around because they all know Cheryl. We'll get into it. We'll have a whole episode on dragons because dragon energy, they're always around me, and they keep my kids safe and protected and me, and they're just lovely beings to be around. It's why I'm almost every day I see dragons in the clouds. I don't know if it's my dragons or if it's just the other upper atmosphere beings, but those dragons, they're always letting us know that they're there, and I really love that. But my dragons are all gathered around. They're like, Cheryl, we know her, And I'm like, the whole time I'm like, go back, step back a few feet, because it was like crazy. Like I can't see them with my eyes, but I feel them. And sometimes I can see the outline, and they're enormous. I have several dragons, and they were all around me, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I had to create this bubble world and fill it with white light. And I kept asking the angels of technology, the angels of communication. I was asking for all of the archangels to stand guard, not only around me, but around Cheryl and around the episode, the show, the communication between us. It was, overwhelmingly so much energy, unbelievable energy. So I hope that you guys appreciate it and that you forgive us for the parts that's kind of really super hard to understand. It was an enormous challenge. I had told her we needed to do it before Halloween, and she was sick. I was sick. We were just like, oh my God, this is not happening. And even today, we're going to do this around 1:30 my time, and I was waiting for her to call, and she didn't, and I fell asleep, and she fell asleep, and we both woke up around 4:30, and then we worked on this till almost 9 o'clock at night. It was unbelievable that it took that long because of all the technological challenges. It was ridiculous. But anyway, we got it done, thank God, and well, this is the result. Okay, so as far as disclosurenews.it, they had 2 reports for the day. One was at 9:30 in the morning. One also says 9:30 in the morning, but I'm pretty sure it's a 1700 report. They just forgot to change the time. So the first report says the situation seems to have calmed down since the end of the activity yesterday around 15 UTC. There were no fluctuations of amplitude until 1 UTC this morning, when we begin to see slight movements, and up to now the maximum value has been around 21. They say power 21. So in the second part of the day, it was mainly calm, except for an episode 221 just before 17. So basically, 21 hertz frequency twice. That was it. Very little, very, very little activity. But we're going to go over to heartmath.org, and their activity is basically, for the whole day, no one is below 100. So, all right, let's see. Try to get this right on the nose. All right, in California, they start off at 119 hertz frequency at midnight, and at 4 a.m. they were to 117 hertz frequency. In Saudi Arabia, in the town of Hofuf, they start off at 114 hertz frequency and went down to 100 hertz frequency. And in Lithuania, they start off at 154 hertz frequency and went up to 156 hertz frequency by 4 a.m. Alberta, Canada saw values that ranged from 175 at midnight to 177 at 4 a.m. They had gone up to 178 at 3 a.m. and then back down to 177, 77 being the master number. And I'm going to tell you something at the end. I'm noticing a cool number pattern here. Let's see. In Northland, New Zealand, they start off at 113 at midnight and went up to 117 by 4 a.m. And here's a lovely master number, 233 was the value in Hallow, South Africa at midnight, and they went down to 229 by 4 a.m. Now at 4 a.m., 2 places were at 117, and 1 place was at 177. All those numbers of 7s and 1s, they're all related to God and God's Word. So whatever you wish to make of that, I think that's pretty cool. 177, that 77 is another master number. Also at the end we have, a couple 11s, a couple 22s here, as in 117 and 229. Pretty crazy. It was California and Northland, New Zealand. They're both at 117 at the end. Let's see. But there were different values in the beginning. So they ended up in the same place but didn't start there. Now, I listened to Why So Serious 24D earlier, and I barely can make out what the hell she's saying sometimes because it's so intense and technical, but this was absolutely incredible. Lately the magnetosphere of the Earth has been cracked, and the sun has just been at a solar minimum, which means lots of solar flares cropping up out of nowhere. And what happens is, during this kind of a thing, it will just break off. And if the sunspot, there's only one right now, and if it's facing the U.S., it's just targeting the United States and no other part of the planet. If it's facing the Earth, sorry about that. If it's facing the Earth and it breaks off, it could stop communications. We could have brownouts or just out and out blackouts. It could last up to 2 to 3 months if we have super bad luck with it. It also sparks earthquakes sometimes. It can and also volcanic activity. So it's been one of those things where it's just oh God, we're so, a little bit nerve-wracked about it. And then nothing happens. We're like, oh, thank God, we go about our time. And then a few weeks later, it's like, oh, nerve-wracked again, because the sun rotates like the earth rotates. And as it's rotating, that sunspot goes around. But what goes around comes back around. And when it comes back around, we're nervous again for 3.5 weeks or whatever until it goes back around to the other side. And it can even affect us and cause a brownout, even if something breaks off the sun and releases in the opposite direction of Earth. Well, there was energy coming at us at like 3 million miles per second or something, like absolutely outrageous from the sun recently. And the Earth fought back energetically, and Sarah O'Brien caught this on Why So Serious 24D. She caught it. She found there was the space station, and they were looking at the magnetic energy of the planet. Well, she said it was like 1,300 kilometers per second or something. This mass force, electromagnetic force of energy flew from the Earth back towards the sun, and that's the first time it's ever been recorded in history. She thinks that's what created, and this happened not today, like in the past week and a half to 2 weeks, right? About the time I told you guys that, my higher guidance told me, that's it, we're done, we're in and anchored in the fifth dimension. Boom, the rocket booster has fallen away. We have liftoff. We're gone. We're in the fifth. We're high up enough above the third dimension that we're just done. And this happened about that time. So here's now the physical scientific proof of something going on. But those of us who have been given information from the higher realms, we're like, oh yeah, no, definitely this went on. Jessica Del Mar on her website or YouTube channel, the same thing. She was saying that we have basically, people are being funneled into the absolute fifth dimension or the absolute third dimension, and there's no turning back. Those are the two choices. You're either in or you're out. Not everyone's going, according to her higher guidance. So I was in that camp for a while until I was told that pretty much everyone's going to move up. But now I'm thinking maybe not. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense that everyone would move up when some people were not ready to be away from the third dimension. But we'll see. We'll see where it's going. It's everything is completely nuts. Tomorrow, Halloween. Ooh, it's going to be a spooky day for Donald Trump, maybe, because they're going to vote on impeachment. Oh my God. I love everybody on earth, but I don't love him being in the White House. And I am counting on everyone to vote correctly and get that orange pumpkin head out of office. Send him to a golf course somewhere. Just let him live out the rest of his days. Even if he lives another 30 years, just let him live them out somewhere else. He no longer needs to disgrace the White House or the White House lawn or any part of the presidency. It's already going to be a nightmare with Mike Pence as president for like 2 more years. That's going to be absolutely crazy. But I don't know. I just think it's going to be a bunch of flub ups, and it's like I almost feel like he's the illegitimate baby somehow of, we'll have to say, Dan Quayle, who couldn't spell potato, who created a national scandal around the spelling of a vegetable. And maybe George Bush Jr. Or maybe even Senior, who threw up on the Japanese president. I don't know why, but that's kind of the impression I get of Pence. It's not a good impression. Hopefully he'll make just a bunch of boring vanilla pudding type decisions. It's not going to really affect anybody. Hopefully he'll be a lame duck or a sitting duck or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to see him in the presidency either, but better him than, the silver wishes. He wants to be a fox is better than the orange pumpkin head any day. So, so it's going to be scary tomorrow no matter what happens. Oh my God. It is what it is, but hey. So 2 or 3 other people are now starting to say, oh my gosh, I think we're now in the 5th dimension. Oh my goodness, we're here. I've seen, 2 or 3 times now, besides the 2 I just mentioned. I think there's a 3rd or 4th person, maybe even. I think it might be 4 people who've already said, I think we're there. We're in the 5th dimension. I don't know. I hope you guys are watching the skies. It is beautiful outside. Today, at least here in the afternoon, it was pink and blue. It was peachy pink and blue, and then it turned to a pretty, really beautiful baby pink and baby blue. Very soft, gentle, sweet colors. Like baby blanket colors. It was really crazy. And then it was just very soft, pale blues. Many, many blue clouds, white clouds, pale gray clouds. It was rainy here all day, but beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So tomorrow's metaphysical ghost speak, guys. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm going to try to get it done early so that I could go out with my son and hang out and have a good time. We still don't know what we're going to do exactly, but it's going to be something fun. I mean, there's a lot of parties around town where probably drinking and dancing and wearing of costumes will be a part of it. But we've been invited to our friend's house for a quiet evening of not drinking. Maybe some dancing, I don't know. Maybe we'll do that. And we've also thought about just sitting at home and having some hot chocolate and cooking some food here and having a Mystery Science Theater 3000 marathon. It's been kind of a Mystery Science Theater 3000 week. Maybe I could talk my son into watching the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2, Harry Potter. Anything to do with magic. And, today he watched Nightmare Before Christmas. So that's always, we have on our Netflix, we have my channel, his channel, my other son's channel, and then the family channel entitled Halloween. And I'm like, nothing gory, nothing gross, but ghost stories are okay. And that's, so we have a lot of children's scary movies. We've got like Hocus Pocus, and for a long time we had Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp, one of our favorite movies. And we also, of course, anything Tim Burton does, Corpse Bride, Nightmare Before Christmas, all of those, always all of those. And probably, I think I added Dark Shadows with Johnny Depp recently, another one of my favorite movies, all time, campy and amazing and hilarious. And funnily enough, it's about the Collins family, even though they're fictional. My children are related to the Collins family, and they've got some witchcraft in their history. There's some hereditary magic going on there, and there's rumors that they were part of the Illuminati, one of the first original 13 families. So I don't know if anything. I don't even know if that's true, but I know that their great grandmother had some magic. She taught animals to speak. She was on the Gong Show with her dog who said, "I love you." It was really creepy. I saw her when I was a kid, and when I met my husband, he's like, "Oh yeah, my grandma taught her dog how to say I love you." I'm like, "Oh my God." And I described his grandmother perfectly, and he's like, "Yeah, that was my grandma." "How do you know her?" I'm like, "She was on the Gong Show with her talking dog. It was freaky." And he's like, "Oh my God, no one in the family knew she did that." I'm like, "Well, go watch old Gong Shows. You'll figure it out. You'll find it." It was pretty cool. He was at her house one weekend and she was vacuuming the floor, and her pet raven, because that's normal, was sitting on her shoulder, and they were having a conversation in English. And at the end, when she put the vacuum away and the raven flew to the window to look outside, she's like, wait a minute, that wasn't normal, was it? That we were having a conversation in English? And he was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice. It seems so normal to me. So I don't know. I thought that was a pretty cool story. And she was good friends with Grandma Marion. Remember all the Reverend Marion stories I told the beginning of this year. And I don't know, I have a lot of connections with her. She and I had a past life. We were druids together and collected herbs and healed people. She was a light worker as well. And in this life, I have the connection with her as far as besides seeing the Gong Show. I had a raven that came and talked to me every day when I was very, very little and gave me instruction on all kinds of things. God, the universe, magic, obviously taught me how to telepath. I called him the grandfather, and my mom called him Shoo, get the hell out of here. I mean, that was what she called him, but anyway. All right. ACIM.org is the website for the Foundation for Inner Peace, and this is where you go to get your lessons for free in A Course in Miracles. And you can also download it on any number of apps. There's dozens of apps. If you want a pink one or a turquoise, a blue one, or even a black one, you've got every color of the rainbow and colors that aren't in the rainbow for all the free A Course in Miracles lessons. But today we're still in the review phase, and we're going over lesson 142, and there's only 3 sentences in the whole lesson. Number 1. My mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. And then taken from lesson 123, I thank my Father for his gifts to me. I thank my Father for his gifts to me. Taken from lesson 124, let me remember I am one with God. Let me remember I am one with God. And that's it. That's it for the lesson. They're short and sweet during this time, which is good because the last week or so they've been kind of long, so it kind of makes up for it. But I love these lessons, and they do have a high vibration. And speaking of high vibration, you might want to ask your angels to be with you before you listen to the second half. So during the commercial, start calling upon your angels, your higher self, your holy guardian angel, your spiritual guides, and your spiritual team to surround you as you listen. Keep the light, hold the light in your space. Ask the angels to be at the north of you, the south of you, the west of you, and the east of you, at all the semi-cardinal points in between those points, and below you and above you and all around in every direction. Take a deep breath 3 times and let it go. Surround yourself with white light. You're gonna need it. This one's a spooky one, but it's also very, very interesting. So I hope that you enjoy this, and Cheryl and I will be back to share all of the stories of her ghost hunting days and what she's currently doing with the spirits waiting room right after this. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.
You finally got it.
Yay!
Oh my God.
I need 25. It has to work.
Oh my God. My husband, who is the tech, will be laughing his head off at this. Okay.
Yeah, well, we had to pull in the technology angels on this one for sure.
Oh God. How are you?
Well, I'm good. I need to introduce you to everybody else, though. So, everybody, this is Cheryl Sigouin. She lives on Prince Edward Island in the province of Nova Scotia in Canada.
Nope.
No?
No,
Nope.
it's the province. It's the province of Prince Edward Island. Yeah, it's the province of Prince Edward Island. Off the coast of Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, and so in the Maritimes of Canada. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Close.
I just failed geography. Oops. Okay, what else can I say? Cheryl was a paranormal investigator for many years, now retired, and she is a hereditary witch and has ties to Scotland, at least genetically, right? What else?
And,
Anything else?
And also Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah,
both.
I was Scottish on my mom's and Irish on my dad's.
Very cool. Yeah, me too. The same. That's so weird.
I'm also a ufologist. I've done demonology. And basically I'm a good witch, like Linda. So, but don't get on my bad side.
Right, of course. So, after you said ufologist, you cut out there. What was that? You said a ufologist and a.
And I'm also like a demonologist, like demonology, like the study of it. So.
Oh,
Well,
it just sounds like you're sounding like a robot voice. This is so crazy.
maybe where I was. Hold on a second. The thing is that on the island here, when I encountered demonics, I was raised in Toronto, born and raised in Toronto. Never had any. Actually, no, I can't say never had any. I had one incident back in Toronto when I was 17. And I had to do an exorcism then, or partial exorcism, because I had to act quick. And then until then, it was like nothing, like for demonic-wise. And then out here, it was like one thing after the other. And that is actually why I don't investigate anymore. So...
Yeah,
I was pushed down. For people who don't think this stuff is real, guess what? It is very real, and they can harm you. I was actually pushed down a flight of stairs, and my hip was torn, and in the results of it, I needed a total hip replacement. If you're dealing with a demonic case, don't provoke it when you're standing at the top of the stairs. So, because they like to get you when your back's turned. So just an FYI on that one. But
wow, that's really creepy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I've had good things happen, but then you get the bad too. You get to deal with that.
Okay, so what now? Fifth dimension, though, are we above all of that, or do you think it could still affect us here?
Yeah, I think it can, depending on how the person is. Like, if they're like taking it as a joke, or like insulting them or not helping them, yeah, they'll get mad. It's kind of like if someone's of light, they're acting like a lighthouse to the spirits, so they're attracting them. And so it's kind of like when you invite someone over to your house, and if you ignore them, how does that person actually get? They get pissed off at you. Well, it's the same with spirits. Yeah. It's like that light that you're sending out is inviting them, and you're supposed to be helping them. And if you're not helping them and they're just lingering around and you're just saying, oh, my place is haunted, well, it's haunted because you're of light and you're attracting them, and you need to do something about it. Whether it's say very nicely, I'm sorry, I don't have the ability to help you go where you need to go, but you could go see this person or go find that person. But you're gonna let them know, because otherwise, if they're just lingering around and you try to ignore them, they'll just get more and more malevolent, where the point where you almost think they're demonic, but they're not, and they originally were a nice spirit.
Right. That explains a lot, because in Detroit, I didn't have the tools with which to let this ghost go. And she kept throwing things at me and rolling cans across the floor in the basement at me when I'm trying to do my laundry. She would scream at me at night. It was horrible. And I'm like, you're dead. Go to the light. Like, I didn't know how to get her there, though, and I do now. So...
because sometimes they're not spirits that just pass. Sometimes they're ones that have already been in the light, but they've left, and they went, let's say they left to go and check it on a family member, and then they kind of can't get back in. They kind of forget how to get back in. I've had that, where I've had to open it up for some people or some animals, because my birth mother, her dog was very prone to coming out to visit and then not being able to get back in. So they Yeah, which I don't mind. He was always welcome here. But yeah, no. So I've had that a lot. So over the when did I start passing spirits over? Almost a decade ago, I started actually passing spirits into the light. And what I suggest to people who want to start to try to do it, when you first do it, lie down on the couch and do it. This way you don't fall on your ass.
Okay.
Yeah, because you will see them more. So it might startle you. So it's best to be sitting in a chair or lying down or something when you first do it. First time I did it, it was awesome. It was an awe, like to see that kind of light. One was amazing.
Wow.
But the other thing is what I've learned and what I like to do for safety factors of things is I actually call in one of the angels, one of the archangels to help, like to guard the light, like to guard the entrance while I put them in. So this way nothing dark tries to sneak past or anything. So I've had that happen where something has tried and, got stopped. So I prefer to call in like Uriel or Michael or, even Gabrielle or whatever, like to guard over the light while I'm letting spirits in. Excuse me. But, when, like, it's not just people that or, or like, well, I've happened to get a lot of soldiers, and that was, hold on a second. Sorry, I've been
it's okay.
Dealing with a cold. One thing that was really cool is recognition from these spirits too. Like, as I was saying, I was dealing with a lot of soldiers, getting them into the light. One of them accidentally scared the crap out of my dog. Not meaning to. He was very burnt. Because I see them the way they die, and then when they touch the light, they transform into the way they, did look prior.
Yeah.
So I was seeing them, some of them like missing limbs and things like that. But when they were in there, the last bit that I've done, I had all the soldiers that I passed into the light. They came up and in the light, they came right in front of the gate, and they all saluted me. Because every time I send them in the light, I salute them, the soldiers. Doesn't matter from what country they're from initially, or even from which war. Some of them are from way back in World War I, even or even before that. But I salute them when they go through. And then later they actually saluted me, and I stood there crying because I was just so honored, and they all saluted me, and I was just crying with that. But it's nice, and then it's nice when you have don't be shocked if you get any stars, how we can all be celebrity struck, kind of thing. But you can end up getting a star that you need to cross over. So
Crocodile Hunter came to me right when he died. and he didn't need help going to the light. He just wanted to tell me that he felt my love. John Ritter also came to me when he died, and he told me, I'll tell you later about that story, because it's something, he gave me a screenplay idea, and if I ever sell it, I have to give half of the money to his wife as an anniversary gift. He died on their anniversary and on his daughter's 4th birthday. Oh, so it was, a double whammy for the family. It was heart-wrenching. And he told me, look, I started to write it and I lost that computer. So now I have to rewrite the story. But if I ever sell that script, half the money goes to his family. It's going to be really for me to go to his widow after so many years and go, by the way, here's $60,000. This is yours. It's a gift from John. He didn't get you anything on your anniversary and he died before he could. So, it's like so sad, but, hey.
First was the one that
I'm sorry, say that
was
again.
Keith.
One of the
Keith
first.
Sorry, Keith Ledger. Keith Ledger.
Wow.
The one that played the Joker that died.
Yeah.
He was one that I passed into the very first one, which shocked me. Because I'm a huge fan of his too, so it was like I was like stargazing.
Of course.
And, but I was getting like that. He was saying that he actually really didn't mean to commit suicide. Like it wasn't his actual intention to want to kill himself, is what I was getting. And it was just nice, like seeing him in the light and that. And then recently unfortunately, I had this young star, Cameron from the Descendant movies. And he, I think it was just, he could have gone into the light, but he waited around a little bit after, just to make sure, to make sure his family and everything was okay. Younger,
Sure.
And that. So I opened it for him and that, and he's a great actor and singer, phenomenal dancer, and that. So that was touching. And I got the big thank you for that, and it was sad too because it was literally just before the Descendants 3 movie came out. And it was just like, so hard. So hard. But, I mean, yeah, you get like normal spirits that are just, waiting around. Like, I even had to pass over my uncle because he waited around like a week because, my cousin, his granddaughter was getting married a week after he died. And he hung around and he came to me and I passed him through the light. It's really hard when it's a family member or close friend. That's for sure. Right. That's a given. So I used to get them all the time coming here, like night and day, coming into the house, outside, bugging my dogs, startling my dogs, bugging the husband. So I basically created like a bus stop for them, like a little waiting area, excuse me, for them, and not an actual physical like waiting area. Like you can't come in my yard and see it, but it's done out of energy and that, and they know it's there, and so I keep them on one side of the house, and otherwise I'll set a date, like a day a week that I'll let them in, or if I'm doing it at a different time, I'll kind of like do like almost like a heads up light factor to it, and then if you can see stuff, then you'd see the arrows going around where I actually let them in the light. And
so these are lit up, put go over here.
If you have that ability to see things, then you'll be able to see them. You'd be able to see the light. That's like an arrow factor leading to where I'm going to be doing them. And I don't usually like doing them in my house. I've only twice done it in my house. because of weather or the time.
Sure.
And most of the time I do it outside on the front porch. It's much better, much safer.
Right.
So they,
Right.
but the first, just keep in mind, the more, sometimes, especially when you're just starting, the more or the longer you have to hold that light open, the more tiring it almost gets on you to do.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. So I try to, what I've learned over the years of doing it is if there's a lot, I'll open that light bigger. I'll open the gate fully,
Okay.
so that they can all go in at the same time instead of one at a time, because then you're there for a long time, and it's tiring, and it's taking a lot out of you too, and that. So it's best to kind of like just open it up and let them all through. So, well, you know what that's like. So you let through a lot in one time. So.
Right. And how do you do it? Do you visualize something, or you energetically put something, or what is it that you do?
With me,
do you have the
I visualize it. I'll say I visualize it.
Okay.
I'll visualize it. I'll open the gate for them more, and then I'll get the light coming. Like I'll see the light. Actually, I actually see the light, and it like glows through at that point, and that's when they start going through, and I see them. Sometimes they'll zip past, and that's fine, and then other ones are slower and they'll walk past, and a lot of them, especially ones that I might have maybe helped in a case or something, they'll stop after they've gone in, and they'll stop in the light and turn and thank me, or sometimes just before they enter the light they'll turn and thank me, which is really nice. Or this sad sort of like last week, my birth mom lost her dog. Her puppy passed away. It was a Pomeranian, and came here. Yeah, well, she knows here because she was friends with my guys before it became my mom's dog. And I said to Toto, because I had Toto outside. I don't usually have my dog outside with me when I do it, but he was outside with me. And I said, okay, stay on board with me while I do this, and don't move. And I opened up because I had a few spirits bug me a lot. So I was like, okay, I'll let you in. And then all of a sudden he goes down to the ground. I'm like, Toto, get back here. Well, I'm concentrating at the same time I'm doing the light. And then he was like interacting with something. And then I caught a glimpse of Violet, of the Pomeranian. But as I said, when I see them, they're kind of like how they are when they pass, until they had turned to the light. So she couldn't walk with her back paws.
Oh, no.
So Uriel was guarding the light that morning. So Uriel actually carried her into the light for me, which is really sweet. And she's been back visiting and running all around the place, and with all fours now. So because she's back to normal, but yeah, they're.
Oh, how.
Hello.
Yeah, no.
It's I find it depends on what the situation is. Like one of the situations, some of the cases was where the old asylum was here, and I had to open the light, and I let through like I think it was about 300 in one shot.
Oh my.
And that was kind of creepy because they were all in their hospital gowns, just walking. Like whenever I walked past this field, they were just there walking around in their hospital gowns. And it's like, okay, I gotta pass you in. Like, but I had to deal with something negative first in order to pass them in, because this one spirit, which was a malevolent one, a very malevolent spirit, would constantly like trap them and not let them get into the light. Like this one spirit was holding them back from going into the light. So I had to kind of get deal with him to get him out of the way in order to get the other ones all in the light. And that took a lot. And it took a couple of years, too, to do that one.
Wow. That's really incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So now the people in the insane asylum, this is just when they normally died, but they didn't know where to go or what to do, or did they all die at once, or how did it happen? There was 300 souls just waiting around. Uh-oh. You have to. I need you to repeat that because you're cutting out.
I'm sorry, I don't know why. There's 2 malevolent spirits that was that were basically keeping them trapped here.
Oh no!
Yeah. One was the doctor, and another one was a caretaker, and they were done experimenting on them basically.
Ooh, so the doctor and the caretaker were evil, and they died, and then they just kept everyone else there.
Yeah, pretty much everyone else that passed away throughout this. Yeah.
Yuck. Wow.
But
what was else I was going to ask? Yeah, okay, yeah, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm trying to remember what I was going to ask you about this, but, so you sent me a picture of some UFOs in your yard from the other day, and there was an old, well, not an old guy, but a guy kind of middle-aged, and he looked like he was Native American, and he was a farmer with kind of jeans and a hat on, and I said, well, what about this guy sitting here in your picture? And you're like, oh, that guy. I was just ignoring him. And I thought that was hilarious. So was he in your waiting room, and has he passed to the light, or does he want to just hang out with you for a while?
Well, the first thing is, I did not mean to actually take that picture. It is I'm aiming for the video. But right where that
you didn't take
is standing, right beside him is my vegetable garden. So,
okay.
And this all used to be farmland, and also because you're saying Native American, like Indian, correct?
Yeah, he looked like he was Native. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Mi'kmaq. Out here, they're Mi'kmaq. Or Mi'kmaq.
Oh, yeah.
Mi'kmaq. Different pronunciations. And they live like right on the water around here, and I'm like right on the water. So yeah, they around this area when I first moved in here, I had to do a peace offering to them to get them to stop bugging, because it was like a really weird feeling right at the bottom of the water side, and I went through and I had to do a lot of research about their history of things and how they do things, and I got people to plant trees, and around here I even provided them with some, and I also did like a peace offering of tobacco. So I bought like a pouch of tobacco, and I just kind of scattered it throughout the ground all the way around for them. So with him around, generally with an Indian, I've had a couple go into the light, but not very many. Most of them end up, I find, like usually they're animal spirits or something. I've never actually had to pass any of them into the light. So I think he was just checking. Yeah. I mean, I did feel him around. He's just the next few days and that, but yeah, he's not around anymore. So, and he didn't go in.
Yeah. Wow. So he's just looking at your vegetables, making sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, we had some frost just before, so that's probably why.
He was concerned. That's cool. I have a question about when you see the light, is it just a beam of light, or is it like a portal? Is it swirling, or is it just a steady stream like a ray of sunlight? How do you envision or see the light itself when people go up into it?
It's, you know, well, to me, it's white. It's all white. So I would the white star would be with the rays coming off of it and out. The only it is pure white to me when I see it. So when I see them through there, I see them clearly through there, and they're always happy. Like even my old dogs that are in there are like always like stopping by the front and giving me a little smirk, and the tail wagging and the tongue going and that, or I have like some old friends that unfortunately have passed away, and they'll come all of a sudden show themselves and blow me a kiss, or send me a message of something what I need to check on, or what they're proud on, or it's always something like that, like, or our family show themselves, and that's actually not bad, seeing family, especially because I was so young, like when my grandparents passed away. So it's nice to see them every once in a while.
That's interesting. And when you see the light open up, is it like a shape? Is it like a square or a circle, or just nebulous cloud?
This huge white light, and then the rays come.
Okay. You have to start that part over.
Sorry.
Technology. Oh my God, retrograde. It's not your fault. It's just I keep holding the space and asking the angels to surround the conversation so this doesn't happen, and I have to like constantly add energy to it to try to get this to open. It sounded like a robot voice. I'm not even getting that.
So
I heard you say hurricane.
Oh,
I know it's a hurricane that times. There you go. You're clear now.
We had Hurricane Dorian back in September hit us here, and the lines are still getting fixed.
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry about that. It's like really, it's clear and then it gets really jumbled. So maybe can you explain that part again about, so it's just a light that appears. It's not really a shape. It's just a light for you. A really bright white light.
Correct.
Okay, cool. And so, now you had to not only pass soldiers, but you also passed Holocaust survivors. Now that was from a long time ago and they were still stuck. Can you explain that a little bit?
I had and Frank's father come to me.
And Frank's father?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And he basically got my attention, and and there was a lot of them there, but I ended up passing. So, and it's also because maybe there's more of a connection because I was raised in a Jewish family.
Oh wow! I didn't.
And I also met the man that hid the Frank family when I was a child.
Wow.
Like, I met him and I talked to him, and that the gentleman that hid the Frank family. So,
Sweetheart, he was.
yeah. So that's probably why they came to me for that.
Sure, that
Because
makes
there
sense.
is that connection.
Sure. That's incredible. I didn't know that. What did you guys talk about when you met him? Did you talk about that incident? About hiding the family?
No, not really. Like, and I realized who it was, and I'm like, okay, and I thought it was just first going to be just like him and a couple others, and it was a lot more. But I was, I was sad, but yet proud that I was one that got them into light.
Wow, how many do you think there were that were just still stuck here from all that time ago?
There was a good few hundred. I lost count.
Wow.
I lost count.
And they all came to you at the same time together in a group.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
I will tell you, like, years ago.
Yeah.
That would, seeing that would scare me. Years ago. Yes. When I was a kid, back in North York, Ontario, like Toronto, Ontario, I grew up behind a hydro field. And anyways, my later research, I discovered that I lived dead center between 5 big cemeteries. And that explained half of it. Plus, the field right behind my house was a hydro field. So it had, those hydro towers and the lines. So, and me being born with abilities, it was just kind of like asking for it in all directions. Anyway, sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on my battery here. So one of the last things that I really remember, I used to sleep in the living room. I was kind of petrified to sleep in my bedroom. And one night I had the drapes open, and for some reason there was a fog, which was weird because we weren't called for fog, but there was a fog. But then all of a sudden I saw what looked like Night of the Living Dead walking through the sun, like walking through the field. And I'm standing there and rubbing my eyes like, oh my God, like, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? And I'm watching them, my jaw's like dropping. And then a couple of them turned and saw me, and then a bunch started walking towards me because I'm watching them. And I'm like, oh, no, hell no, And I'm like trying to close the blinds really fast, like the drapes really fast. And then they turned and went back to their group and continued walking. And I don't know where they were going to, but I know where they were coming from area. There's 2 big cemeteries back to back there. But it was like, okay, I've never seen anything like that in my life, and nor do I really want to again. Unfortunately, well, I can't say unfortunately, I have seen stuff like that again, and I've seen stuff like that before. But, when you're little and you don't, when you're really little, like 5 years old,
Yeah.
at times you don't comprehend that they're ghosts.
Right.
You think they're people at times. And I know one time I was sitting in the car. I was sitting between my parents in the front seat. And I was we were stopped, and this was down on Queen Street in Toronto. And I was looking, like, kind of like around my mom, and she's like, "What are you looking at?" I said, and it was raining out, and I'm like, "Why are all those people in hospital gowns out in the rain? They're going to get more sick. They should go in."
Oh my God.
And she's like, "What people in hospital gowns?" And she's looking. I'm like, "All those people in the hospital gowns behind the fence. They're going to get more sick." And she's like, looking at my dad and wondering, should she tell me, because I was only like 5 years old. And then she's like, "Cheryl, honey," she goes, "I don't know what you're exactly saying." She goes, "But that hospital has been closed down for a number of years. There's no patients there anymore. There's no doctors, no patients. It's closed. It's not in use." Anyways, and yet I saw, like, I don't know how many, a lot of patients walking around in gowns. And anyways, later on, I found out that was actually the asylum, the old asylum, downtown Toronto. And one time I was with my dad walking there, and we walked past it, and we were, I don't know why we stopped. We stopped right by the gate, like right by the fence area. And then one of them was coming up, and I could see him reaching for my dad. And I'm like, "Dad, come here." And I'm like pulling my dad away of this. So, you know, like, but there are things that, like, you know, when you're young, when you're little at first, like, you don't, you know, to me, I thought they were normal people that were out, like, in hospital gowns, you know, like when you're little. So you got to, I think, you know, as you get older and you realize, you know, no. But the main thing is with things, definitely do your research. Right. Because not all is bad. I mean, some could be scary and creepy, but not all is bad. But yet not all is good either. Like I didn't tell you this one, the other night, I don't know, it was weird. It was like, I was kind of like, not in a like dreaming, but not dreaming. Like I was kind of like partial. I was like in that twilight part of waking up. Anyways, and I saw a woman spirit that it reminded me of like an old hag. Yeah. Woman. But what got me was she jumped on my chest. Ooh. And was like straddled over me. And I'm like, hell no. And I'm just like blast white light at her. And like at this point, like I'm already fully awake. And it's like I'm just like blasted white light. And then it's like, yeah, get the heck out of here, you know, kind of thing. And then I, you know, had to check my shielding of my house again and everything. Yeah, because that's the thing. When you do a lot of this stuff, you got to really learn how to shield and protect your house and your loved ones. So otherwise, especially if you come across anything malevolent or demonic, if it can't get to you, it will get to your loved ones, whether a pet or a husband or, you know, a spouse or a sibling or whatever, or a child. It will get to them to get to you if it can't get to you. So you got to really learn to shield yourself, protect yourself.
Yeah, I agree. For sure.
And one thing too is if you're investigating, or if you're watching a show, and I'll give an example here, Ghost Adventures. Love the show, love Zach and Aaron. Actually, looks a lot like Aaron. They're best brothers. They're that close looking like. There was couple times that happened that they did an episode, and the effects of it I ended up having here in the house that I had to deal with. So I messaged them and let them know what happened following watching the episode. And then when they did another episode, they said, we're going to mute this part, so it's not your TVs. We're actually muting this part because we don't want what's being said to affect people in their houses, because we've been informed that it does that. So it's like, yay, okay, cool, they listened, you know. Yeah, so, you know, and that's what you got to do. You got to listen to people. And that when you're investigating or you're dealing with this stuff.
Right.
Like, even a team, even if you have a team, you got to make sure your team members, if someone, doesn't matter who it is, if someone yells duck, you duck. You ask questions after, but you duck first, because it could be a spirit. It could be a spirit coming at you. It could be something natural coming at you. Like if you're doing an environmental case, it could be like a branch dropping down or something, you know. Or it could be a spirit throwing something at you. So you always got to listen to who you're with, and respect, you know, and really trust and respect that person's out for your best interest.
It's true. I was in Guatemala in this little tiny town called Livingstone, Guatemala, and it's the African community that traveled from Africa. And one of the people had died. He was actually murdered. And I did not know any of that, but I did know that there was a house open to rent, and we went in to look at it, and I felt an evil energy, and I was standing underneath this massive chandelier, and as soon as I stepped away from it, and then I felt this cold rush, and it was a very hot place to be, so it gave me a chill, and I stepped away really fast. That chandelier crashed from the ceiling and smashed, and there was a glass everywhere. And he was trying to get my attention, and he told me how he died and what happened, how they took him out in a boat and they stabbed him, and they brought him back, brought his body and dumped him in front of his sister. And his sister didn't know that those were the people that killed him. And he was standing outside of his house when I left, and he said, okay, I need you to tell my sister. And he's sitting there smoking a cigarette, and he's wearing a red flannel shirt and blue jeans and white shoes. And I told the guy I was with who showed me the house, I said, hey, I need to talk to the sister of the man who was murdered here. And he's like, how do you know about that? I'm like, he's standing right there. How come you can't see him? He's telling me the story. So I had to call her and tell her that he's sorry for all the grief he caused her. And then I helped him to the light, and she was crying. At first she didn't believe, she was like scared witless. A random stranger from the US is calling her, you know, from another phone in Livingstone. It was completely crazy. And then she started crying, and she said, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't believe it. After all this time, I know what happened. And it was like, whoa. But he, like, the spirit was just trying to get my attention. But I mean, he could have killed me with that chandelier. It was enormous and glass. You know?
I mean, in our house back in Ontario, dropped a big picture on my brother one time. What? And they it was protective of me. So he was kind of, my brother and I have been really close our whole lives, but he was just acting strange that night. But it dropped a picture, like a really big picture on him, and it could have really hurt him and that. So it's yeah, I grew up in a haunted house too, so it's so that's why, like, I'm so used to it with things. But you know, we get on, and if you can help us, if you can help the spirit and help family members get through things, then that's great, as long as they're willing to keep their, keep an open mind about it, that you actually helped.
Right. It's sure crazy, though. I mean, what we do is and it sounds like you have more experience than I do. Most of my ghost episodes happened before I knew what the hell to do to help them. I was just like, what the hell? Why are they near me? Uh-oh, now I can't hear you.
Our age, we didn't have what's out there today for everybody to see, or the equipment or things like that. We didn't have all that growing up, so we had to figure stuff out on our own.
Yeah, exactly.
With my abilities to calm down my abilities. When I was a kid, I look at my brother's stereo, and I was like, big volume dial, to control the volume of the stereo. I wonder if that will work if I picture my abilities with that, and it did. And to turn down the volume of my abilities a bit, and it did. And now it's all over the net. This is how you control your abilities. This is how you lower them down when they're skyrocket high. And this is stuff that I had to figure out on my own when I was back in the 80s or 70s even. And so it's really crazy. But I love helping the spirits, not but as I said, there are some that and keep in mind though too, especially if you're investigating or not even investigating with anything, I'm a big practical joker.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I did one. We were in a cemetery. Yes, all cemeteries are haunted because yes, there's dead people there. Okay. Right. But there was this grave just dug. Anyways, I went ahead of people. I went into the grave.
Oh no! Oh no!
And then when they walked by, they were calling me. I reached up and grabbed them. So,
oh my God.
Abby just wanted to know if the dogs have been medicated. Yes, my dog is on a puffer. My other one's epileptic, so she has asthma. So there's that. There was a house case I was doing, and it was our first time using walkie-talkies, and my colleague was on another floor, and I realized, oh yeah, we got the walkie-talkies. So I went over and I'm like, kill, Jason.
Oh no.
Next thing you're hearing is her screaming. And yeah, you gotta try to line certain things up in a fun way, or else it's not good. You want to get the information and that, but when you get too scared, you almost can't see things accurately. So it's best to line the light. Okay, I'll tell you on my 40th birthday. Well, I was 39 at the time. We went to the pizza. There's the pizza place here. It's called the Old Jail. It's actually it used to be the Old Jail, and we went there for pizza. We went out back for a smoke, and I'm standing up back. Well, I was getting really strong feelings about something out there, but then I wasn't sure if it was just acid pains from the pizza sauce. So anyway, so we left after, and then Did some investigating around the cemetery thing. Oh yeah, and the other thing is make sure you go to the bathroom before you do any investigating, because I'm telling you, when you're standing there and I'm like, if a spirit all of a sudden shows her face so close to my camera, I'm going to pee myself. You know, that's like kind of how you get, like, where it's like you got to go so bad that if something would happen, you would piss yourself. So really make sure you go to the bathroom before going. Right. And it was after we went back to the restaurant area and to the parking lot parks. The restaurant was all closed, and I didn't realize at the time, but in the back corner was actually where the gallows used to be. But there are trees now, so we were standing there, and I was getting the same feeling again. So anyway, I was getting the feeling of where I was getting the feeling was where they brought the people out from the building to go to be executed. So that's what I was feeling. So we were discussing, we were asking questions, and just the trees in front of us, only the trees in front of us were moving. And then I did a stupid question. Then I did a stupid thing. I'm like, okay, so you were hung here. And I felt a noose around my neck.
Oh no.
Sorry, I'm actually repeating here for some reason. Then I said, so you're talking.
No.
To the point where I had to actually leave the area. I was like coughing because I felt like I was being hung, and I actually ended up having a noose mark on my back of my neck.
Whoa.
My thing was, there's nothing like getting hung on your 40th birthday. Because I just turned 40 at that point, so when we got there, it was midnight.
Oh my God.
But things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
That next morning, the mark was still on my neck. And my husband took me out to, do a bunch of things, and we went to the bookstore, and there was this book, in Legends on the Island, and I've never seen this book before, and it had someone hanging by the gallows, and in the book there was a story about this guy Thomas who was framed for hanging his fiancée.
Ooh.
And he confessed, like he spoke with the priest and everything back then and that. So he was wrongfully hung. And they, and this was actually the gentleman that did that to me.
Oh
to
my
get
God.
my attention. And it happened to be that same, yeah. But, and then actually, it was fine. I actually just recently, so I thought, one of my old colleagues already got him in the lake, but she didn't. I actually got him in about a couple months ago now. He came to me. I'm like, I thought you were already in the lake. What the heck? So I got him into the lake.
Oh,
like him, I opened it right away. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. We're actually running out of time, darn it. It just went so fast.
Yeah.
These are incredible.
Yeah, I know, and I'm down to 2% here on my battery. So
probably we should wrap it up right now, but I want to thank you for being on the show. I love you so much.
And I really hope that I'm able to help a lot of your listeners too, who, are interested in this or like to fiddle around with, hunting stuff too and everything, because you can have fun, but you got to be careful too. And things do follow you home, so make sure you put your boundaries out.
Always with the white light, always with angels and spirit guides.
Yeah, definitely the angel prayers if you don't want them following.
Yes, for sure. Always ask for protection.
And you guys have a great night. And a very happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you and to dogs and Chris, your husband.
I'm going to do my initial Halloween thing for you that I've never done before. Ready?
Okay.
My pretty.
Oh, no, say it again. Yeah, you're breaking up. Oh,
Sorry.
say it again. Say it again.
Okay. Do you want me to do that again? I'm taking my freaking little dog too. Anyways, you take care. Have a happy Halloween.
Okay, you too, Cheryl.
Bye.
Happy Halloween. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right,
Thank you
bye-bye.
for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, guys, I told you it was a little bit rough audio there. I hope that you got all of it or most of it. I mean, it was a lot of it sounded like there were aliens trying to interfere with her voice a couple times. And I kept getting the image of a couple little goblins trying to interfere with the audio. And the entire time I was recording, that we were, having the conversation and we're recording, I had to constantly create a bubble of white light around my phone, and I had to open up the fabric of space and time between Cheryl and I, and just open it up, open it. I don't know how, it's just like moving a blanket with your hand above your bed. That's what I felt like I had to do. And then I had to push Reiki and send Reiki light to all the spirits that were feeling like we were ignoring them at that moment. All the things that kept interfering with the audio, because it was just, when two people that have been sending people to the light and doing this kind of work repeatedly for so long, we get together and it's just like amplifying the light. Instead of two people, it's like there's four people. It's just like, it just gets this huge, enormous light. And you know what light does? It brings a lot of moths to the flame, right? And not that I'm calling the spirits moths, but you know what I mean. It just brings a lot more out, brings a lot more to you. So, I had to hold that space the whole time. It was so hard. So for 1 hour, and then the audio cut off at 56 minutes versus the hour that I normally get. So that was weird. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this pre-Halloween episode for tonight from Cheryl Sigouin, and basically her stories, the spiritual waiting room. I mean, her stories are incredible, right? I hope you enjoyed them. She also experiences a lot of ETs, and she does have magical powers, very much like what you would see in Hollywood, maybe not as dramatic, but she's told me some really cool stories about starting fire in her mind, to light candles. She's one of the ones she's real. I know I've got the power, I just don't know how to use it yet, so we're going to have to get together another time and talk about magical powers. That one's going to be really, really, really trippy. She's the one that also did the doppelganger episode, so if you're brand new, you're just listening to the show now, go back and listen to the doppelganger episode, because, oh my God, that one's every bit as interesting as tonight was. Cheryl is a very interesting person. Anyway, I wanted to thank you guys for listening and favoriting and forwarding the podcast to like-minded people so that we could get our #soul family, #soul tribe together. Wanted to thank each and every one of you and tell you that I love you. You never know when you're going to take your last breath. And so it is always important for me to tell you guys this. I tell everybody I know that I love them, unless I just started dating them and then I wait 2 or 3 months. I just say it silently. I love you. Shh. You don't know yet, though. I tell them telepathically. If they don't get it, At least I sent the letter. I sent the mental letter through the ethereal realm, that's just how it is. But I do every day try to feel love for everybody on the planet, regardless of what they're doing or if I agree with their politics or what they're doing or whatever. None of that matters, because in the end, we all are one. It's important to love each other and ourselves. So I love myself and I love you guys too, because we're all one being. All right. I felt some of you just catch that on a different level than you ever did before. I just saw this slightly in the future when you guys are listening to it. I saw a few of you, your light bulbs lit up above your head. Ooh, I love when that happens. All right. Well, that's all I got to say about that. Well, now we're just looking not for the ghost stories, because the day for that is closed. Tomorrow we'll be back with Metaphysical Ghost Speak. We're going to talk about ghost stories. Michelle's the only person sent in a bunch of ghost stories. I'm going to read to you about her ghost stories that she sent in, as well as my own. If I could talk my son into telling his ghost stories, I don't know if I'll get him to or not, but I'm going to see if he'll do it, because he loves Halloween. It's his holiday. His very first Halloween, he was 13 days old. So every year he's his age plus 13 days. It's always significant for him. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyway, well, that's it for tonight. I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Oh, peace, guys. Peace out. Do you ever wish you could look into the next chapter in your book of life and see what's coming next? What does the universe have in store for you? I can help you with that. I will give you a Celtic cross reading, which is 10 cards, or you can ask me 3 questions, and I use 3 cards per question. So that's 9 cards, or I can channel your higher guidance, or maybe God directly for you. Maybe you want to talk to your dear departed Aunt Edna, because maybe you have a few questions and she was the smartest person you knew. If your deceased relatives are available, or your ascended masters, I can channel them for you personally. Let me have 1 hour to show you the future in your next chapter of your book of life. Readings are $75, and it takes me an hour to an hour and a half to complete. And for this price, you will also be hooked up to the healing grid around the planet for free, which means yours truly, me, I will be giving you Reiki 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life. All you have to do is let me know. metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com, and we will explore your future together.